Hi, and welcome to the show. I am your host, Suzanne. I will absolutely never get tired of saying that, and I don't think I'll ever get tired of saying that I'll never get tired of saying that. So, maybe a few more episodes I'll get it out of my system, but for now, I am still in the honeymoon phase, and I hope the honeymoon lasts for a very, very long time. I think when you do a podcast, and you're doing this medium and you're putting yourself out there, it opens you up to a lot of feedback, most of it unwanted, but a lot of feedback from friends and from loved one and from strangers. And, everybody has an idea and has an opinion of how you should do your show and, what topics you could tackle. And, I certainly give everybody the respect and I listen to them, but ultimately, I have a particular message. I have something that I want to get out there, that I want to put out there. My goal is to spread positivity. My goal is to ensure that every message that I put out there, it's positive, it's encouraging somebody in some way, shape, or form. And, I've talked about my brand, Positively Suzanne, and I hope you're following me on social media, where the tenets are inspire, motivate, and empower. And I truly believe in that. I want to make sure that, every show that somebody's inspired, every show that somebody's motivated, every show that somebody is empowered. So while I'll take the feedback from everyone, because I truly do appreciate it, because there's things that, and there's feedbacks that I've gotten that has pushed me to do something a little differently and has changed it. And I can only get better as I go. There's some feedback that are just given for the purpose of somebody hearing their own opinion. And but hey, I take it with a grain of salt, because you're never too old for learning, and you are never so knowledgeable about a particular subject that you can't take instruction and information. So I thank you in the spirit that it was given. I pray that it was given in the spirit that I grow, that I put out a better product. But I am absolutely loving this medium. I did promise you guys a few weeks ago that I was going to answer a few questions. So let's see. First question: anything upcoming for Positively Suzanne or Sit Down with Suzanne? So, again, my brand is Positively Suzanne, and under that umbrella, I did launch the Sit Down with Suzanne podcast. I am actually going to be in Atlanta next month. She Podcast is a group that I found on Facebook, and through that group, I found out there's this global community of women podcasters, and they're having their conference in Atlanta next month. And I am so excited because I'll be there. I'll be one of the female podcasters, and I'm just looking forward to seeing all these incredible women, just doing what they do and getting some pointers to help me be better in what I do. So I'm absolutely looking forward to that. So that is what is upcoming. Um, Next question: will I be having a guest soon? Yes, actually, in the next episode, or if it's not the next one, it's the one after that. I am actually so excited that I'm going to be sitting down and talking to somebody who's a very good friend of mine, and she's a realtor, and she's going to be talking about, steps you can take to make owning your own home a reality. And, one of the reasons that I had reached out to her for that, it's because I remember the pride I felt when I bought my home. And I know that there a lot of times people are spending so much money on rent. I know people that are spending a lot more money on rent than I spend on my mortgage. And I really wanted to talk to her to just give some information to folks, just to let them know, they can be homeowners. And it's not as hard as they think. And even if it's a challenging road, there's steps they can take now to ensure that when they're ready to buy a home, that the path is not as difficult. So I'm looking forward to that episode, and it'll be coming up in the next episode or two. You know, one of the things about my podcast, and I've shared this before, I wanted to have this feel that, you're sitting down in your living room with your friend and you're having a conversation, and, it's things that you'll talk about with your friend. And I don't know about you, but I talk to my friends about anything and everything. So things like owning my own home, things like, the pay equity, Things like, empowerment of women, mental health issues, anything like that. I do talk about it with my friends, and then I will bring it to the podcast. So a lot of times I will share information. If it's personal information, in regards to friends or family member, I won't share name or things like that. But I do connect with them and says, can I share this particular situation in the hopes of it helping somebody. For my husband and my kids, they're kind of fair game, so I do share a lot about them. And one of the benefits of having a podcast is you'll find out if your husband listens to you, right? Because he'll say something to me that I said on the podcast, and I was like, all right, so I know that he's listening to the podcast. But anyway, I am very excited about so many things. I'm looking forward to Atlanta. I'm looking forward to sitting down and talking to my friend about becoming a homeowner. So I thank you for that. So, like I mentioned, this week's episode, I was going to talk about failure, the fear of failure. And, it's such an important topic. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it is because this week I had quite a bit of conversations with people in regards to failure. They felt that they had failed at something, and they felt that it took away from who they were, and they just didn't know how to get up and move forward, or they felt that others were looking at them differently because because they failed. And this is what I'm going to tell you: we all fail, and some of us fail big, and some of us fail small. But the bottom line is we all fail. And failure is a great teacher, because when you fail at something, it teaches you how to do it differently the next time. And so many times we allow the fear of failure to stop us from doing something that we absolutely truly want to do. And I'll even go one step further to say something that we were destined to do. But because we're afraid that we will fail, we don't do it, and we deprive not only ourselves, but I will say the people that you deprive the world of something that could be, life changing. So do it. Even if you're afraid, do it, because you never know. And even if it fails, you'll learn something from it. If you look at people in history, and if you look at anybody that you admire, they have failed. I think I have been very vocal about being a big fan and admirer of Oprah Winfrey. And I remember having to write a paper a couple months ago in class, and we were talking about failure and somebody who we admire who had failed. And I did a little research, and it was about when Oprah Winfrey, after she had ended her show after 25 years, and with the OWN network, and then she was struggling with the OWN network, and how people were coming for her and just talking about her, and the things that she had to do to turn that around, and she was failing. But the thing that she didn't allow to happen was she didn't allow that failure to define her. She did not allow that failure to stop her. And look at OWN now. I mean, some of the best shows on TV are on that network. And if you haven't watched it yet, you absolutely should. I mean, I'm an absolute fan. But, when I think about something like that, like an Oprah Winfrey can fail, and, you think about, let's look at even Steve Jobs, right? He founded Apple. Unfortunately, he's passed away. But, at one point, he was ousted out of his own company. I mean, that was a spectacular failure. And then, obviously, they came back for him because they needed him. But, if you're looking at people that are so big and they fail, Michael Jordan has failed. And I mentioned in people that I do admire, whether it's for their sports ability, like Michael Jordan, and Oprah Winfrey just for being Oprah and just doing the things that she does, and Steve Jobs for what he did with Apple, how this has continued long after, how his legacy has lived on, and it wasn't just him. But, it's just failure will stop you from doing something. Failure will stop you from going where you need to go. And I just want to encourage somebody, because I have failed. I have failed often, and I have failed big, and I have failed small. And each time that I have failed, I have, decided that it's not the end of me and I'm going to do it again. I've gone on many job interviews. I remember at one point I was laid off and I went on a couple different interviews and I did not get the job. And, it is kind of, I don't even, the words, it's the, I don't want to use that word because it's kind of depressing. And I don't take that word lightly because I understand that there's so many people that are challenged and, facing mental health issues and are truly depressed. But I will tell you that during those times that you're looking for a job and every job is saying no, you can get that depressive spirit that can come upon you and you genuinely have to talk yourself out of it. But I remember just having this feeling of failure and I kept thinking I have all this experience behind me and they were saying no to me. And then finally the right job said yes. And that's what you have to realize. When it's the right thing, it will happen. But a lot of times we just get so caught up because we want it then and we want it now. And if it's not happening on our timetable, we then think that we're a failure. We think that we have failed and, we've given up. And it's tied into our emotional state. It's tied into how we view ourselves. It's tied into how we treat others. So failure is no big deal. Now, I know that you might think I'm saying that to be controversial, but it's not. Failure is no big deal. Failure is a teacher. Failure gives you experience. Failure is a life lesson. Failure gives you an opportunity to do it differently the next time. And through failure, you will find success. If you did this one way and you failed, the next time you did it, you'll do it another way. And if you fail, and you'll keep doing it over and over again till you get it right. And that is what I want to encourage you about. Whatever it is you're going after, whatever it is you're planning on doing, and if you think that you're a failure, I need you to shake it off. I need you to talk yourself out of it and realize that failure is a part of life and it's not the end of you. It doesn't define you. It is not your legacy. It's not the end of your story, and you can go for it and do anything after that, after a failure. So, I mentioned that I failed at many things, and after each failure, I think I've become better at the things that I want because after each failure, I kind of examined what went wrong and I learned from it. And that's what I want to encourage you. After a failure, look into it, examine it. What did I do in this scenario? And, what can I eliminate? What can I add to make sure that the outcome is different the next time? Because you know what? It's going to be different. It will never be exactly the same. And a lot of times, right, we are afraid of failure, yes, but we are afraid of it also because we are afraid of what people will say about us. But you know what, though? And I read this somewhere, so it's not my quote, but it was a quote that says, "What other people think of you is not your business." And that is so true and that is so appropriate. What other people think about you is none of your business. Because if you allow what other people think about you to get into your psyche, it will hinder you. And then you get so afraid and you're like, you're not going to do this because this person is going to think this of me. But ultimately, if it's a loved one, they will cheer you on. They will be there for you and support you no matter what, because that's what love is, unconditional support. And if it's a person that, an enemy, a frenemy, an old schoolmate, an ex-boyfriend, an ex-girlfriend, does it really matter what they think about you? Because ultimately, you're going to be you, and these people don't impact your life. And I love memes, right? I always get these, a friend of mine, she always shares these with me, things with me. And, it says, there was one she sent me the other day, it says, "How do I sleep when people are talking about me?" And it says, "With a fan on." And I want you to adapt, to that motto, right? How do I sleep when others are talking about me? With the fan on. Don't worry about it. Let them talk. I mean, hey, they talked about Jesus and he was the King of Kings, right? So just stop worrying about what others will think and what others are going to say about you, and go after your goals and get what you need to get. Now, I have a couple of friends that are planning to go back to school, and I know that they've had a few false starts because they're, thinking that, hey, I'm too old, and, financial is going to be too much, the workload is going to be too much. And I've encouraged them, and I'm going to encourage you, if you are thinking of going back to school, do a little research, find out the best places for you to go to, find out if it's something that's relevant to the career path that you want. You don't want to go back to school just to go back to school to get like a degree in liberal arts and you're going to work in finance. So get a degree that is specific to the field that you're into. And education is something that they can't take away from you. No one can. So, it does open more doors. And if you have the experience and then you have the education with it, then it will certainly put you in a higher asking range for salary. So if you desire to go back to school, go back to school. If you desire to go after a promotion, go after that promotion. If you desire to get a better job, get a better job. If you desire to buy a home, buy a home. If you desire to, lose weight, get fit, go after it. And, the thing I'll encourage you about is to do your research first. Don't just jump into it. Do your research, and the more prepared you are, the better the outcome, I truly believe. And yeah, there's going to be times that you're preparing, the outcomes is not what you expected, and that's okay. But do your research. Anything that you're going after, you shouldn't go into it blindly. You should do your research just to make sure that it is what you want, it is what you're going after, and you want the results that you want, right? So put in as much effort and preparation as you can to get the results that you want. In a couple of shows, I'm going to be talking about a very, very personal situation with me, and it's how to cope after a loss, how to cope after a loss that has touched you so deeply. And, I won't mention what it is, but I suffered a significant loss, and I was able to come back from it and be better because of it. And, and in the moment when I was going through it, I didn't think that there was a light. I didn't think that things could be better. But I will tell you, the thing that I found after that loss was beyond my wildest expectation. It was just so spectacular that I think that loss prepared me for it, and it allowed me to appreciate that thing even more. And that's what I want to let you know. Even after a massive and a humiliating failure, you can come back. You will come back. You'll be better for it. So don't let the fear of failure stop you from doing what you want to do. Don't let the fear of failure stop you from living your dreams. Don't let the fear of failure just stop you from 100% enjoying life and just maximizing your destiny. Don't let the fear of what others will say about you, will think about you if you fail, stop you from trying. If you want to do something, go big. Going all the way, with your knees knocking, your heart pounding, your hands sweating. Just go in with both feet, jump in, and if you fail, you fail. But here's the other side. You may not fail. You might win. And how incredible would that be if you won? So I just want to encourage you. Do not allow the fear of failure to stop you from becoming all that you can be. So I really hope this episode encourage someone tonight, I wanted to do just a little short episode to talk about it because I know that a lot of people are going through, moments now where they're fearing that they're going to fail and they're not doing things that they want to do or that they need to do because they feel they're going to fail. And let me tell you this, if you don't do it because you fear failure, you have already failed. So think about that. So you might as well do it anyway. So I thank you for listening. I am always encouraged when you send your thoughts, your feedback, your messages to me at Suzanne at positivelysuzanne.com. My goal is to be a blessing to you. My goal is to help you. It is to inspire, to empower, and to motivate you. And I hope that after listening to this podcast, you have let go of your fear. You're going to jump in with both feet. And I'd love to celebrate with you when you win. So, until next time, this is Suzanne saying bye-bye.